There are now two companies that you are riding, two tigers, if I may, and I think they have been distinct companies. And purely from the leadership point of view, Anant, how exciting or challenging is it to try to get these two very distinct companies to work together?
Yeah. So look, I think culture makes a big difference, right? And I believe culture is sort of the fundamental building block of any of these businesses. So to answer your question directly, it's actually hard. One is because geographically we're separated. One is in Delhi and the other is in Bangalore. So that itself forms a difference. The good news, by the way, is I think our values and our culture is similar, right? If you look at the Myntra vision, it's to make the world a more stylish, colorful and happier place. It's not about selling clothes. It's not about selling fashion. It's not about commerce. It is about really actually doing all of those things, right? Making it more stylish, more colorful and happier. I think that, by the way, applies to both Myntra and Jabong. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think if you have a common purpose, then alignment becomes easier.
And business-wise, do you see synergies developing, let's say supply chain, logistics? Do you see those kind of cost advantages kicking in?
So firstly, I see the brands as two distinct brands. I think the brands will always be independent and it'll be run that way as independent brands. Of course, there are areas where we will have synergies. We've already started implementing a lot of supply chain costs and cost reductions, which have actually been really helpful. Technology is another area where I do think leveraging each other's capabilities will be another area, right, where we will get advantages.
And speaking of technology, you're also using technology in very interesting ways. You said that you're also tracking how consumers spend. But if we go beyond that, there are a lot of policy challenges coming through. You mentioned GST, which is going to make life better. There is also, of course, demonetization, which is leading people towards using less cash and more other forms of payment. How does are these opportunities for you, or are they going to benefit you in the medium to long term, but not immediately?
Sure. So I think there were three things. I'll quickly hit all three. I think decoding, I think fashion and technology. I think that's the core of what Myntra does. I think of it as using technology to decode fashion. That's what we do. So I think eventually I see technology as an enabler for disruptive change. And I believe that that's why the growth rates that we have are what they are. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is on regulations and what they mean for us. I think GST, we've already spoken about. I think it's very positive for us, both in terms of creating transparency in the system, being able to place supply and demand where they actually make sense, as well as overall cost structures I do think will come down. I think on the other regulations, FDI and so on, I think they're the right set of regulations. Over a period of time, my sense is I think it's around how do we make, even before FDI, I believe that I think there's a lot of value in making businesses sustainable, which we spoke about earlier. So I think having some set of norms around discounting, around all the rest, I think helps. And I think, therefore we're compliant around it. The last is on demonetization. I think short term, there is an impact. It's not a major impact for us. So after the initial decline, our baseline has sort of shifted down by maybe 3, 4, 5%. But that's against a growth plan. So November, we grew by 50%, right? Our plan was closer to 80. So we still grew less than our plan, but I think, we still grew. Long term, I believe fundamentally it's a very good idea, right? Because what it does is it actually shifts the pendulum towards digital payments, which I actually think, from every perspective is always better for both the end user and for us, it's much better.
But even here, I think you've been flexible enough on, especially the cash on delivery format, to probably offering card on delivery. How is that panning out?
Yeah. So that's been great, by the way. Thanks for asking. I think it's one of the innovations we did right after demonetization. So all our service delivery agents and all our partner service delivery agents were immediately equipped with a point of sale device, right? So literally, cash on delivery used to have 5% card on delivery. So, when you get it, you then decide to pay by card. That number has now become 50%, right? And that's fabulous. So you've solved the trust issue because the customer wants the package in their hand, and yet they pay digitally. It's the best of all worlds. So that's been a great shift for us.
Innovation is interesting, which you are driving, Anand, but you came from the world of consulting. You were at McKinsey's, and now this is the big bad world of where, you have to sell real products to real people.
Sure.
How has this, how did you straddle the change?
Yeah. So look, some things you take from McKinsey, others are new skills to learn. The things that I took from McKinsey are, I think, one is being in an unfamiliar situation, being able to problem solve and come up to speed things quickly, which I think, by the way, is a core skill in e-commerce because, frankly, everything changes all the time. So I think it's a good skill to have. I think what is different, by the way, is just pace of decision making and execution. I think you don't have a lot of time to analyze. You have to learn to go with your gut. I think those have been learning. I have a terrific and wonderful management team, I think both at Myntra and Jabong, and those have been hugely helpful in sort of getting me there. I think that's probably been the biggest learning.
And thank you for joining us, and our best wishes for your new career and for the success of Jabong and Myntra.
Thanks so much.